You see them, the Lamborghinis on Rodeo Drive, the diamond-crusted watches on Instagram, the ridiculous mansions in magazines. And you think, yep, that's what being rich looks like. But what if I told you that's all it is? A look, a performance for the rest of us. The truly wealthy, the people with quiet fortunes built over generations, are buying something else entirely. They're acquiring assets you'll never see in a photo. Assets that are intentionally invisible, unglamorous, and completely unphotographable. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on what the rich are actually buying. First up, the quiet wealthy aren't chasing flashy stock tips from some guru. They're buying boring businesses, but not in the way you or I might. They buy them through layers of legal structures designed for privacy and protection. Think about a local laundromat, a regional plumbing supply company, or a chain of car washes. These aren't sexy tech startups, but they are cash flow machines. The wealthy don't just put their name on the front door. Instead, they might create a holding company, often a simple LLC, which then owns the business. That LLC might even be owned by a trust, creating separation between them and the asset. It's all about creating a buffer for liability and privacy. Why bother? Because the most expensive thing about a luxury car isn't the sticker price. It's the attention it attracts. Attention from the public, from scammers, from people who suddenly need a loan. By owning a portfolio of boring, cash-flowing businesses through these entities, they get the ultimate prize, invisible income. It's money that flows in, whether they're sleeping or on vacation. They own the money printer, but they don't have to stand next to it and watch it run. When you picture a millionaire's real estate, you probably imagine a glass penthouse in Manhattan or a beachfront villa in Malibu. And sure, some have those, but those are often liabilities. They cost a fortune to maintain and scream for attention. The real wealth-generating real estate is way more boring. I'm talking about an ugly strip mall in a Midwestern suburb, a modest duplex near a state university, a portfolio of single-family homes in a middle-class neighborhood. These properties are the silent soldiers of a quiet fortune. You will never see them in an architecture magazine. But every month, tenants pay rent. That rent covers the mortgage, taxes, and maintenance. And the cash left over goes right into the owner's pocket. Now, it's not a hands-off ATM. There are vacancies to fill and repairs to be made. But the wealthy approach it systematically. They look for markets with steady job growth, not just trendy zip codes. They don't fall in love with the property. They fall in love with the numbers on a spreadsheet. The goal isn't to own a beautiful home. It's to own a machine that generates passive income. That income is then used to buy the next unglamorous rental and the next, creating a snowball of cash flow that builds wealth quietly in the background. So these first two assets are about generating income quietly. But what about the money they've already made? How do they put that to work without taking crazy risks or paying a fortune in taxes? The next few assets are where the game completely changes. If you're finding this look behind the curtain valuable, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. We're all about showing you how real wealth is built, not just how it's flashed around. One of the biggest myths in investing is that you have to be some kind of stock-picking genius to get rich. The wealthy know the opposite is often true. While amateurs are chasing meme stocks and trying to time the market, the pros are pouring money into the most boring investment you can think of: broad market index funds and ETFs. An index fund simply owns a tiny piece of every company in a major market, like the S&P 500. It's the definition of not trying to be the smartest person in the room. You're not betting on one company to win. You're betting on the entire economy to grow over time. The strategy requires almost zero attention. It's a lazy money machine. Now, this isn't their only play. Many also use active strategies like private equity or hedge funds. But for a huge chunk of their portfolios, boring is beautiful. The point isn't just the return. It's the discipline it creates. It forces you to ignore hype and sidestep emotional mistakes. When the market panics, you do nothing. When the market soars, you do nothing. It's all about patience. The truly wealthy understand that long-term wealth isn't built by a few brilliant moves, but by consistently avoiding stupid ones. They set up automatic investments into these boring funds and then get on with their lives, letting their money quietly compound for decades. What's one asset that billionaires like Bill Gates have been quietly buying up by the hundreds of thousands of acres? It's not private islands. It's farmland. Seriously, how do you flex 10,000 acres of cornfields in Nebraska on Instagram? You don't. It's the ultimate invisible asset, and it's incredibly powerful. For one, it's a real hedge against inflation. No matter what happens to the dollar, people always need to eat. Second, it's an income-producing machine. Billionaires aren't out there on tractors. They lease the land to farmers, collecting steady rent while the land itself hopefully appreciates. Farmland is durable and isn't tied to the daily mood swings of the stock market. You can't see this wealth from the street. There are no flashing lights, no roaring engines, just the quiet, steady growth of an asset they aren't making any more of. The wealthy don't buy land to impress you. They buy it for long-term financial security, knowing that in a chaotic world, owning the source of our food is a quiet kind of power. This last one is less of a thing and more of a strategy. It's the quiet mechanism that allows the ultra-rich to access millions of dollars without ever paying a dime in capital gains tax. It's a three-step process known as buy, borrow, die. First, the buy. As we've talked about, the wealthy buy assets that grow in value over time. Stocks, real estate, businesses. They hold on for dear life, letting them compound into massive fortunes. Now for the clever part, borrow. When they need cash, they don't sell those assets. Selling would trigger a massive tax bill. Instead, they go to a bank and take out a loan against their portfolio. A loan isn't income, so the cash they get is completely tax-free. They can use this money to fund their lifestyle or buy more assets, all while their original fortune continues to grow. Finally, die. When the person passes away, their heirs inherit the assets, and thanks to a powerful feature of the U.S. tax code called the stepped-up basis, the value of those assets resets to the market price on the date of death. That means a lifetime of built-up gains can be legally wiped away forever. The heirs can then sell a portion of the assets tax-free to pay back the loan and keep the rest. Of course, this strategy isn't without costs. You have to cover the interest on those loans, and there's always the risk that tax laws could change. But for now, it's one of the most powerful tools for preserving wealth across generations, happening completely out of sight. The illusion of wealth is loud. It's a sports car revving its engine. It's a watch that costs more than a house. But true, lasting wealth? It's quiet. It's the rent check from a duplex in a town you've never visited. It's the dividend payment from an index fund you haven't checked in a year. It turns out the loudest person in the room is often just the loudest person in the room. The real goal isn't to buy things that show you have money. It's to buy assets that make money. To build a system of invisible income that works for you so you don't have to. The ultimate luxury isn't something you can own. It's the freedom to never have to think about money again. And that is something you can never, ever capture in a photograph. Consider subscribing to us for more quiet fortune stories.